This is Sporting Life.
Well, welcome along to the Sporting Life Cheltenham Final Debate podcast, and as promised, all in the studio. First time this is Sporting Life podcast history. David Orr joined very closely by Ben Linfoot, Billy Nash, Graham Cunningham, David Johnson and Ed Chamberlain. It's a Cheltenham preview, but not your normal one, chaps. We're going to talk about 8 or 9 talking points into it, but it's a special week this GC. It's a special meeting, special enough to bring the game notes back.
Yeah, thanks, Dave. Been nervous about this. Haven't delivered them to a live audience. More packed than the Artle Bar at the studio.
The crowd beyond the cameras as well. This is big.
Well, here we go. There's something for everyone in here, I hope. Here we go. Dave, it's been a long, cold, lonely winter. Crap weather, small fields, some stars in cotton wool, others injured, or worse. Gambling industry, turmoil, Bakewell tarts and Scotch eggs confiscated. But spring is coming and, just like that, make no mistake about it, jump racing is back. Or is it? Constitutional crisis. Could rock up at Aintree or Punchestown. Or maybe a quick cameo at the Lambourne Open Day, then straight to next year's festival. Can't be too careful. Cheltenham, charging kids full whack. So cruel. But not as cruel as dressing your 7-year-old son in a tweed suit like Toad of Toad Hall. Racing Post, paying Twitter Herberts for flattering retweets. RP, ropey policy. Oh, and raising prices. Dave Ord, pining for his wade-in podcast pals. David DJ Johnson, only 2 weeks to the Lincoln. Stay strong, BJ. Ben Scoop Linfoot, lovely 2-point plunger at Newbury. Mr. Scoop, forget Cheltenham, do it at Cheltenham. Billy Nash, way out of the pack with this summer jest. This beast needs to win now, Billo. Ed, James Martin would like a word about you saying his lovely goujons are like fish fingers. Highly paid analysts, seeking value against Mullins Rockets. Note this. Willie's had 8 Grade 1 runners at 6 to 4 is shorter in the last 2 years. 7 gagged up by a combined 40-odd lengths. The other was Gallopin in the Turners. Absolute rockets. Remember that Cheltenham song sung to the tune of Downtown? Wow. Bad segment.
What's we doing now?
Remember the Cheltenham charity race? Lorna Fowler winning on Plato for Henry in 2011. Bring it back. Also, bring back the Greyhound race. No need to bring John Ketley's bespoke weather forecast back when we have the Big Tone Bulletin. Also, Cheltenham Clark John Pullins video updates. Strong, my captors are treating me well vibes. Top 5 festival stalwarts whose names make you smile. 5, Unsinkable Boxer. 4, Rooster Booster. 3, Anna Glog's daughter. Had to put an Irish one in. 2, Willie Wumpkins. And 1, the Giant Bolster. Dave, all these highly paid analysts, I don't want to mention names, what are they going to do? Spring points round like drunken sailors, saying this is a banker, that's a God-given cert, no, don't stop me. Are they going to reset the P&L to show losers? No. Are they going to have a single no-bet race? No. Are they going to fire off a boom if they snag a winner? You bet they are. And you know what, Dave? Here's a boom for the drunken sailors. The Sporting Life lads are going to win it all. Speaking of winning it all, Ballyburn, endless chat about Tuesday or Wednesday. Spoiler alert, he'll boss either. Might win both if he had the chance. Vassal Vega, Gaelic warrior. Has anyone mentioned headgear? I hope so. Statesman, how far? Lossymouth, a conversation will be had. Then she'll win the mares. Of course she will. El Fabiolo, powerhouse. Captain Guinness, value without the fav. Fact to file, open and shut case. Especially if Grey Dawning defects. Ginny's destiny. Can't believe how fat he was when he joined Nichols. Grey Dawning can believe he's a big danger to all in the Turners. Brighter days ahead? Hope so. Banbridge and Tiapu, big Ryanair and Stayers players. But do you really want to see healthy horses who've had one run all season snag the biggies? Down with this sort of thing. Sergino, Cheltenham Surge was something. But what if Nicky's had a quiet week? Gold Cup, the one race where the gang's all here. A few out to get Galloping, not sure why. Finally, lads, no question, this festival's a strange one. Monday was manic. Conhill out, Marine National out. Blakey, barnstorming Peace lightning Cheltenham to a washed-up Mike Tyson. Cheltenham needs to come off the ropes swinging, so maybe start by turning these lesser Grade 1s into high-class handicaps, penalising Grade 1 winners in the Mayor's Hurdle, stop price gouging, pray for better luck with injuries next year, and pray harder that the Brits can revive. After all this time, Dave, maybe the golden goose has finally stopped laying golden eggs. But can the henopause be reversed? Put it on the poll, Dave. And in the meantime, get ready for another greenwash. Those are the festival game notes. Little break in the middle.
Henopause is just genius.
We finished that. Can we go?
Oh, well, you can go shortly, but not.
Oh my God, that's good.
GC touched on it, Ed. It feels like more than ever we've needed this to be a big Cheltenham festival. After a jump season that's drab, washout. Why is the festival so important? And what's the key thing for you this year?
We've been here before. We've been here before, and the festival has produced a number of times. I remember going there a few years ago when every interview I was doing was COVID and negativity and Cheltenham this and Cheltenham that, and then Rachel Blackmore rode to racing and Cheltenham's rescue, really, with the negative then. And now, yeah, it's plenty about. A lot of it's within the tent, though, Audie. I mean, Kevin's article is excellent, and I wouldn't say we're quite at Tyson washed up and swinging, but there are issues to solve, and GC touched on a few of them. Why is it so important this year? It has been a difficult winter. It's been a miserable winter, full stop. Cost of living, everything that's going on, and Cheltenham needs to lift everyone's spirits. There are issues. I don't like things like the searches. I don't like the paying for parking. There's other issues. I don't like 4 Novice Chases. Everyone's got an opinion on that. But big picture-wise, it's still magnificent. It is magnificent. All my mates can't wait to go. There won't be a single complaint about the price of Guinness. They pay more at Twickenham. They pay the same at Aintree, yet it's fashionable to bash Cheltenham for it. I don't know why. And the challenge this year for me is it normally delivers. I'm just struggling with the hooks this year. What are the hooks when people say to you, why do I need to watch Cheltenham this year? Just struggling day 1, 2, definitely day 3. But we have a magnificent Boodles Cheltenham Gold Cup to look forward to. If you're going to watch one race, the Cheltenham week, it is the Gold Cup. It's deep, it's full of good stories, it's got really good horses, no one's ducking it, and that, for me, is the big selling point this year. Will Cheltenham deliver? It always delivers.
It does as well, doesn't it, School? That's the one thing that, well, you need it most, it does. And it's the 100th year of the Boodles Cheltenham Gold Cup. That's sort of got lost a little bit in the build-up. I expect that to be a bigger play. Is that the one race you're looking forward to most this next week?
Yeah, I think it is, Dave. GC touched on it, Ed touched on it there. We haven't had the big clashes, have we, this jump season? And obviously with Constitution Hill falling by the wayside at the 11th hour, then you look into the Gold Cup to really deliver. And we've got a fantastic reigning champion in Galloping Deschamps who has had an unusual Gold Cup prep for a Willie Mullins Gold Cup horse, really, in the fact that he's been going after Grade 1 all season long. And so it's
3 runs all season long. It's not an arduous campaign, is it?
No, but it's not a run at Tremor album photo campaign. Which is, so he has had a couple of Grade 1 battles already this season. So many Gold Cup horses come in on the back of a really light campaign, don't they? And yeah, obviously it's all relative, GC. But I think there's some fresh challenges for him in that Gold Cup that weren't there last year. And it is the one race that I think we're all looking forward to this week.
Now, David, with your flat editor, Timeform flat editor hat on, you'll know that the Lincoln is just the other side of this Cheltenham week. It's like a piece of sun bursting through the cloud. Do you think that the momentum of the flat season is something that the jumps campaign should be envious of? When you look at the way that the flat season goes and you're bubbling away all the way through, do you think it's a noticeable difference when it comes to the winter game?
It does completely, can sit here and the way the flat season works, you just sort of, everything just leads from one to the other, and it's a real natural fashion. You're only sort of 2 or 3 weeks away from a really big, interesting race that, sort of goes on as the season progresses, whereas the jumps just doesn't have it. We all look forward to getting to Wetherby in November, and you think, right, we're going to hit the ground strong, but then, yes, you get the Cheltenham Paddy Power meeting, but then there's not really too much of interest until you hit Kempton, and then January and February are very light, aren't they? And everybody's sort of stood in the box waiting to show what they can do in March. And yeah, it just doesn't work quite so well. And we've sat all winter. We know what the issues are, but even the likes of us, we're not really coming up with the obvious answers.
I don't necessarily totally agree with that, though. And ITV's numbers don't agree with it either. In the build-up to Christmas, and it is so popular every week. This year we've been bailed out by the big handicaps rather than the graded races. When you think of Coral Gold Cups and then Sandown, the November meet, these are very, very popular. And I think the narrative through till Christmas is terrific, and in January there have been some good ones too. Trials Day was good, and there have been others. But, that is the difficult period, January and February.
That's the interesting.
Forgotten about the DRF though. That falls right in the middle of that period, doesn't it?
It's what?
The DRF.
Yeah.
And all the many other racing festivals that we now seem to have in Ireland that come in the winter months as well.
But the loss of Constitution Hill and Marine Nationale, etc., what that does, it clearly impacts Cheltenham, but it really compounds the issue of healthy horses not running in the months before. That seems to be the main problem here. If your stars are running Banbridge 1, Teahupoo 1, multiple aces going to the festival on the back of 2 runs, it's very hard to make a really intense programme when your top 20 or 30 horses are racing so infrequently.
I think that's the frustration. Jump racing is so popular, has such a great following, and that period up to Christmas is so popular, and yet it could be so much better. It could be so much better.
Why can El Fabiolo go grade 1, grade 1, grade 1, Stateman go grade 1, grade 1, grade 1, Galloping de Champ go grade 1, grade 1? The pattern is set in Ireland for them to try these big races run there. We've allegedly got them here. We've allegedly got a road to Cheltenham that takes you to the festival, and yet the big names, the big guns, continue to opt out.
No, you're absolutely right, and that's what we need to change. And I'm not sure necessarily trying to get them into big handicaps is the answer. You've talked about it on this pod, Scoop. The problem with that is we can't afford to lose these horses from graded races because then you're going to have even smaller fields.
No, it's not every race, is it? It's a lot of those grade 2s as well that I think would be better off being good quality handicaps. I mean, you've just said it yourself, they're so popular, those big betting races throughout the winter. I think we could have a few more of them.
And with those graded chases, I was picked up on what I said. I said there hadn't been a graded chase in this country. People picked up on it and said it was a grade 1 chase. It was a graded chase, full stop.
Wow, even more.
Hadn't had 8 runners and first 3 betting.
Really, Ireland's no stranger to small field graded races.
Yeah.
There seems to be more noise about the problem of it in Britain than there is in Ireland. Is that true?
I would think absolutely, yeah. Small field graded races are the norm in Ireland, yet they don't seem to attract the same attention as they do over here. I don't know why that is. Maybe we're just not as bothered by it. But yeah, it's been a thing in Ireland for a long time. And certainly in recent years, when Mullins, Elliott, de Bromhead have dominated the fields of those races, the field sizes have gone even smaller. But yeah, nobody seems to be crowing about it too much in Ireland at the moment.
I touched on this before, and it's hard to quantify this. And I'm not in this demo at all. But I do believe that a lot of young fellas and lasses who go to these big meetings, they're not too worried about whether a star's missing, etc. And compared to many years ago, when you were lucky to come out the festival having backed 3 winners over 3 days, they're quite happy to say, right, I've brought a couple of £100. I'm having 50 on all these willy good things. And there's a very good chance that they're going to snag a profit. Not a life-changing profit, but they might snag a profit, have a few pints of reasonably priced Guinness, and go away thinking they've had a hell of a good day.
Yeah,
I put it on a poll. I put it on a poll with my mates. Couldn't give a monkeys as long as they back a few winners.
Yeah.
Couldn't care less who trains it.
And I do remember, though, even when it was a 3-day festival, you were on your knees if you backed 2 or 3 winners. One in the week sometimes just at the heat off, didn't it? It was so competitive, so deep that you were...
So it's got to a very different point now, perhaps a tipping point. I hope Cheltenham will embrace the idea of trying to intensify the competition here and there with more handicaps rather than just level weights, grade 1s, etc. But remember, this is the firm who a couple of years ago seemed to spend quite a lot of time persuading us that 5 days was the way to go.
Yeah.
And they listened, and that's my one hope. My one hope that someone comes out at the end of it and said, we're listening. We're listening. We'll have a wash-up. We're listening.
We're listening to David Johnson about Willie Mullins' mania. David, it's been a theme of recent Cheltenham. He's every chance. He needs 6 winners, did the 100 Cheltenham Festival winners. He might even do it on day 1. Looking at the market, there's every chance he's going to get to that. So what do you make of the the firepower he's got, and which Mullins horses are you most looking forward to seeing?
Yeah, I think you're right. You are betting on a case of when rather than if that 100 comes up, aren't you, at this year's festival? And I think the key thing is, you know, it's not just Willie Mullins himself, is it? You can see the team that he's got behind closed doors. You know, David Casey's got a big involvement there, hasn't he? Obviously, Ruby, his son Patrick, they're all heavily involved, in the expertise that they've got throughout the years, that is a huge factor, I think, you know. And you're at the stage now where his buying power is so strong. You know, he's getting first dibs on all these good horses. You know, they're going to him first, aren't they? So, you know, this domination isn't going anywhere. And he said, which one am I looking forward to seeing most? I mean, all of them really, but El Fabiolo is the real one for me that I'm thinking, let's see him taking on John Bon. I was really impressed with him in the Arkle. We haven't really seen him do anything spectacular yet since then, but he's the one horse for me that could really go and win by a long, long way in that championship.
Just visually, when you see him sort of take off miles from a fence without caring much about what happens and plough through the top and not lose an inch of ground.
Yeah, it's
quite
remarkable,
exciting.
isn't it? You know, he can hit one, but even when he's hit him, he's never looked like falling, has he? And, you know, going into the Arkle, people were crabbing his jumping over John Bon's, and now it's sort of coming full circle, isn't it? You know, it's John Bon that's got a little bit to prove in the jumping stakes in that regard.
Let's after Matt Chapman's Twitter video, that schooling session at Seven Barbours. I mean, he looked awful, didn't he, with that stuttering into two of them? And anyway, let's fingers crossed all goes well. Billy, we've had racing dynasties before. These superpowers have come in the jumping game and dominated for periods. Has there ever been one quite with his strength and seeming longevity? There's no end to the production line at the younger level.
Well, I don't remember the days of Vincent O'Brien, but I think he's, you know, back in the day he might have been as dominant.
In about 40 horses, wasn't it, Vincent?
Yeah. But if you look through the Cheltenham results, you see all the winners he had at Cheltenham down through the years. But Willie has just taken it to a different level totally certainly in the last couple of years. You know, it's commonplace now for Willie to have 8, 9, 10 winners at a festival, which was absolutely unheard of years ago. So, yeah, he's taken it to a completely different level, and let's face it, it probably won't be matched for a long time.
Which of the aeroplanes are you most looking forward to seeing, Scoop?
Yeah, I would echo David's thoughts with El Fabiolo. I think he could be a very special two-miler, and if John Bon can return to something like his A game, we're going to have a real good yardstick to measure him by, and that's quite exciting. I think Ballyburn, amongst the novices, is the one. He was tremendous at the DRF. There was a few obstacles missing that day. His chief market rival didn't perform, but it was just the way he did it, the way he powered through it. Like GC said at the top of the show, he could probably win either of the Sky Bet Supreme or the Gallagher, or both. Yeah, I'd like to see him in the intermediate race. I think he's bred for a trip, and he could really show us what he's made of in that race. But yeah, those would be the two, and of course Galloping de Champs as well.
And we've lost Constitution Hill. We're looking for a story for the week. It probably is that Boodle's Gold Cup. It's probably Galloping de Champs. Mullins might hit the 100 Festival winners, and Galloping de Champs on time form ratings is his second highest horse I think he's ever had. I think he's £2 off Faheen at this stage, or Douvan. It's one of the
Douvan, yeah.
2 off Douvan. There's a chance that he could end the week as a dual Gold Cup winner and the best horse that Willie Mullins ever trained. That's something to hang your hat on.
Yeah, and then the Mullins 100 is a major thing to hang a hat on as well. That is an unbelievable achievement. We are witnessing something very, very special. And on Monday, Audie, one of my favourite things of the week, and Cheltenham again have taken stick for charging kids over 5. I don't understand that. That's been in policy for a long time. I mean,
should be in school anyway.
They'd be in school.
That's my message.
Imagine they were encouraging kids to come for free and miss school. They get into even more trouble. But one thing they do on the Monday is they have school trips who come to Cheltenham. It's magic, the connection they have with the community. And one thing
to that school, don't you?
The one thing I get to do is stand with Patrick in the middle of the paddock with all the horses that have come that day. There'll be 50 or 60 of them probably. The ones for Friday probably haven't arrived at this stage yet. But it is something like you wouldn't believe. The battalion and the kids' open mouth, look at these horses, and Patrick just spins them through, explains how they've got there, how they're fed. Magic moment. Something that Cheltenham, no one gives Cheltenham credit for things like that, and they should, because it's really good. And then Gallopin and the Gold Cup's fantastic. It's part of the setup. It's everything you'd want for a terrestrial broadcaster. To have a brilliant defending champion, really strong home defence, good stories. And listen, Gallopin's going to take the world of beating. Tactically, honestly, I can't wait to get stuck into this. What's Paul Townend going to do? Because last year went wrong for the start, and look at him, he still managed to win. What's he going to do this time? because some people said that almost worked in his favour, being able to drop out like that. I don't think that's going to happen this time. He's going to want to be more prominent. And how he's going to do that, I'm not quite sure, because there's plenty of pace in the race. You look at a number of them, Real Wacker and others who want to be up there. What's Townend going to do? What's Shishkin going to do? It's a brilliant Gold Cup with a brilliant defending champion. Part of me would love him to go and do something absolutely spectacular as a dual winner. I'm not as convinced as some of you guys about that. And you know who I fancy each way in the race. If that wins, Billy Nash. In November at 40-1, Billy Nash. We can dig it out. We'll get Dom to dig it out.
The internet is forever.
Nothing ever dies.
You only use 2 words.
All right, Dom,
no
you won't
chance.
This is Korak Rambler, by the way.
I would love it. Honestly, I would love it.
I mean, poor Scoop mentions about August Rodin once. I never touched upon it again. It was lost on the internet, and then
Honestly.
it got me.
Not in the Cheltenham one.
We've seen some great Gold Cup winners over the years. You see, just how good could this guy be?
Well, he does have a shade of Courtauld Star about his athleticism and his loping style. This is the day when he has to show that he's in that bracket, and I hope he can. But Shishkin has half a dozen 170-plus time form performances, including his last 2. Faster slows, not way behind him. Jerry Colombe, Long Press, Gentleman's Game, Braveman's Game, Hewitt, Korak Rambler, the Real Wacker. There's depth there. So, but he's brilliant. He's a brilliant chaser. His rating tells you that. 2 flat performances in the last 3 years. Since that Martin Pipe win, he's been absolutely dominant in every other race he's contested.
What price will he be?
Depends on how the Mullins
week's gone. Yeah.
The week.
It'd be the last leg of a lot of multi-day accas, wouldn't he? It'd be like 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 of some of those.
Billy, what price would you think is the bet price for him?
What is he at the moment? About 11 to 10. Like, if you could get odds against, I think he's a bet at odds against.
He'll be odds on if Mullins has shot.
Oh, he will definitely. Yeah, definitely.
Best of the British Scoop
In the Gold Cup, I think Shishkin. I think it's got to be Shishkin. You know, and we could. One of the stories could be Joe Donnelly could be going for the champion hurdle
and Marie.
Gold Cup.
And Marie.
Don't forget Marie. Yeah,
Marie. Don't you dare forget Marie.
Okay. And Marie could be going for the double. And I think since he won at Ascot in such good style over 2 mile 5, for me, he is shaped like a stayer. I think he's going to thrive at the trip. Obviously, he's got his own ideas about the game, and if you're putting a bet on Shishkin, you are risking that he might plant himself at the start. But I think that is less of a concern since Newbury. He was very well behaved that day, and the level of form he showed at Kempton in the King George suggests to me that he's a player in this Gold Cup.
You worried he might get, he looked claustrophobic in the Ryanair. He didn't like all that hustle and bustle. You worried early in the race, horses all around him, big
definitely.
Field, he might get shuffled back.
That's the
I
worry.
hate it.
That is the worry with him.
Okay.
But I think if he sets off on good terms with himself, I think he's going to be a big player.
The interesting thing about Shishkin for me is developed into that sort of horse now. I think that he runs to the company that he keeps, and that means if he's running against 150, 160 horses, he'll run to 152, 162. That's what he was shaping up like in the Denman, wasn't it?
Great shout.
Whereas if he's in there against that 180 horse, he might be the only one that's sort of going with him and really giving him a race. So I think Shishkin is definitely the best of the British.
champion hurdle Billy, state man bomb-proof?
Yeah, absolutely. Oh, look, it's. I won't say it's a non-event, Dave, but with Constitution Hill out, I can't see anything troubling State Man. That includes Iberico Large, who's been obviously supplemented. Lossiemouth won't go there. Irish Point will run, and will run well, but he's not good enough to beat State Man. I think State Man will win easily.
Having in mind, Fanberry's the other side of that door with the dictaphone and the member of the Irish Tipping Club. It's about to rip up the membership card. The Irish winner of the Ryanair will be...
Oh, that's a good question. The Ryanair is wide open. It's not a race I have a very strong opinion on.
The clip ready to go. This could be a British team. This could be a British train.
I won't go that far.
Billy.
Yeah, like Banbridge.
It's one of the week, isn't it?
It is, yeah. It is. Banbridge is the horse to beat, but he doesn't want it. He doesn't want any more rain.
If TC's weather forecast is correct for that Saturday deluge.
And Voyalen is back again, but he's probably as good as he was last year. He's not any better. So he's beatable. I think it's a wide open race, and like I said, it's not one I have a very strong opinion on.
You having the stayers?
No, not really.
I thought you put Tiapu up as your bet of the week or the banker on one of our earlier.
You must have been listening to somebody else, Dave.
Fanberry, that.
Well in rehearsal.
Probably racist, that. I think it probably was Fanberry. So you haven't got a strong view of the stayers?
No, not really. But again, if the bespoke weather forecast is right, then Tehupo is going to be very hard to beat, because I think he wants really soft ground. If it comes up soft, he will stay it better than anybody else. But again, I wouldn't be wading into him at a short price.
GC, champion chase. Edwardstone goes off.
Yes,
Does
bums
El
away.
Fabiolo pick him up?
I hope so. I hope it's going to be fiery. Very hard to oppose El Fabiolo. He's 1-1 against John Bond, but John Bond's win was narrow over hurdles when El Fabiolo was still learning his trade. I have a fancy here. It's without El Fabiolo, and it's for Captain Guinness to be patiently ridden and creep into third or second on the run-in. I think that horse is a brilliant jumper, and he was second in the race last year behind a crackerjack horse, an Ergamine, who's not there this time around. I think there's every chance that he'll get placed again to captain.
David, you just said, Billy, the second time today, Nap Tiapo in the Stayers Hurdle. Have you got any strong view? It's a bit like Dad's Army, isn't it? It's cost me no well in that Stayers Hurdle.
Yeah, I've not really got a view in the Stayers Hurdle, but I wouldn't mind going back to the Ryanair because I think there's an interesting horse, and it's that Protectorate of Dan Skelton's, in that I think the problem with him this year has been that he's just not quite up to the Grade 1 races that he's been running in. And I think this Ryanair, it's not really a proper Grade 1 this year, is it? It's contested by horses that are just a little bit below the very best. And I think on his form, he probably only has a couple of pounds to find with the best of the Irish. And I can just see that the way the race is going to be run, he's going to be one of them that's going to be up there, get into a good rhythm. And he's never been a slow horse. So I wouldn't be overly concerned about him coming back in trip. And I think he's about 12, 14 to 1. I think he'll give us a real good run for his money.
5 horses within £3 of each other on time form.
Yeah.
Tells you how tight it is. And he's one of them.
And I love the fact that Ryanair's like that this year. You could have had a fast or slow and a brave man's game in there. None of them have ducked the Gold Cup the way it should be.
Chairman, I've got £5 in my pocket. I'm on a £5 treble on the Champion, the Ryanair and the Stayers Hurdle. What are the 3 selections?
Do each race individually, and I'll tell you.
There's Champion Chase.
Champion Chase, Edwardstone.
The Ryanair.
Fabiolo will never have been this quick before. If Edwardstone guns from the front.
Probably up the gallop.
Dismissive.
Just cackling in the
He
corner.
might not come back. I'd rather back him at his price than El Fabiolo.
The Ryanair.
Stage Star wins that.
Stayers.
Stayers Crambo. Tough. Really tough. Whether he's good enough, I'm not sure.
Keep watching Phil Tufnell. There's a chance this year. We can get on that.
We're there. And honestly, Ollie, some of these British horses are going to be valued because all the hype behind the Mullins horses, of course, they're going to take some beating. Some of these British horses are going to be a bit of value.
Ben Linfoot, Novice Hurdles. Scabbard Supreme.
I presume that Ballyburn might go for the 2 mile 5 race.
The Gallagher.
Gallagher.
Exclusive on Sporting Life at some stage. That's going to be very open.
Yeah, but either way, I like Tully Hill. He's got strong bumper form. Second to Dream to Share last spring, and he's gradually got to grips with the hurdling game, hasn't he? And I was impressed with him last time when he beat No Flies on him. I think he's a good horse, the Edward O'Grady horse. And so, soft ground day 1, I think Tully Hill could win the Supreme.
Billy the Noel Gallagher, as I now call it. What's
The Liam.
It's more Liam than Noel. What's the one for the Atlantique? Does he retain faith in it?
I do like him, but I think Ballyburn will run in that Gallagher, and if he does, well, he's going to be a very sharp price, and he'll probably win. Atlantique should run well. I'll give you a Willie horse at a big price if he runs there. That'll go well. Is Billericay Dickey, who won a maiden hurdle at Punchestown. He had good flat form in France. He was impressive first time up. He'd be a big price, but I'd say he's quite a talented horse.
2 shorties, GC. Ballyburn, wherever he goes, are going to be short. So Gino in the Triumph, Henderson form permitting, is likely to be very short. Do you see any holes in either?
Not really, no. Sergino, I think that was one of the most impressive sights we've seen, that surge from the last. Apparently he's worked extremely well with the likes of the likes of certain horses that may have been supplemented for the Champion Hurdle.
He worked all over Constitution Hill the other Monday as well, didn't he?
That's better, DJ. Thank you.
I'm interested, Billy, what do you think about this filly, Cargeezy? She didn't have a lot in hand in a bunch finish at Leopardstown, but she travels like a filly who's really getting good.
She does, and she's also getting £5, which could be very useful as well. She's improving. There isn't really a standout juvenile in Ireland at the moment, but because of that, she has probably been overlooked a small bit. She was unlucky not to win at Christmas. She took a nice step forward at the Dublin Racing Festival, where she settled in a good bit better. And if she can improve again, the £5 she's getting off Sergino could be very useful. So I wouldn't put anybody off her.
One of the races I would lose from the festival is the Mayor's Novices Hurdle. This year is probably one of the most interesting races of the festival. Billy, it's an Elliott Mullins proper head-to-head, this.
Yeah, I suppose it's a three-way go because you've Dice Ardinos as well, who'll be getting £5, but two.
British horse.
He's obsessed with them now.
I didn't. I'm not tipping her. I'm just throwing her into the mix. Two really good mares, Brighter Days Ahead and Jade de Grugy. Brighter Days Ahead has done everything right, and Gordon Elliott has been talking her up for quite a while now. I mean, he's really been bullish about this one. I just think dropping back to 2 miles at Cheltenham might catch her out a small, but she won over 2.5 at Navan the last day and was really impressive and stayed on up the hill at Navan really well. She did win at 2 miles at Downroyal the time before, but that was not a very strong race. I really like Jade de Grugy of Mullins's. I think both of her wins she's been very impressive, but what I've loved about her is how quick she is over a hurdle. She is dynamite from one side to the other, and I think the 2 miles will really suit her, and I just think she might have too many gears for Brighter Days Ahead.
Novice Chases, David, you and GC like the same horse, but in a different race. Make your case.
Yeah, well, I'm hoping that Grey Dawning goes for the staying race. I think the way that he won at Warwick definitely suggested to me that he's a 3-miler in the making, and I can sort of understand why Dan Skelton's looking about maybe going for the Turners on the fact that he would have beaten the Nichols horse.
Ginny's Destiny.
And obviously you don't have to worry about factor file there, do you? But I think the key thing when you're looking about is you should be playing to your own strengths, not worrying about the opposition. And for me, if they're going to do that, they need to go for the 3-mile race.
GC, you can make a case for the Turners.
I am going to make a case for the Turners. We both think he's a proper Grade 1 horse. I think I'd rather take on Genie's Destiny in the Turners than Factor File, who could be a tremendous horse. Just to touch on him, he's come such a long way in such a short space of time. He runs in the Brown Advisory, of course, it's going to be a short price. But the time of his one finisher win at Leopardstown was sensational in comparison to a good handicap win by Hartwood. Fantastic. And do bear in mind that Grange Clare West would have been his main danger, I think. Yeah. He's been injured. And Grey Dawning, I think, might defect to the Turners. So Carter Pole's Factor File in the Brown Advisory. And I think, I'm doing it now, Grey Dawning is a really interesting Turners horse.
Isn't Ginny's Destiny the one when it came to Paul Nicholls?
I couldn't believe how fat he was. He's got better and better, as you so rightly say.
Billy, there's two. We've got Factor File short. Embassy Gardens are going to be short for the Iceland Chase. He's not typical of the hot dot horse that they're usually taken there. Light on experience over fences.
A little bit, yeah. A little bit, but certainly has taken... Look, he's built like a chaser if you ever see him. He's a smashing looking horse. Jumped well at Punchestown the first day, was absolutely electric at Naas the last day. So we know he jumps, we know he stays. Just don't know how good the form of either of those races were, to be honest. I think he has a little bit to prove. He's probably short enough in the betting for what he has achieved. And the fact that the National Hunt Chase is now being run in honour of Maureen Mullins, the likelihood is he's going to be sent off favourite, trained by Willie Patrick on board, I assume. So he'll be plenty short enough, but he'll have plenty of opposition, notably Corbett's Cross of Emmett Mullins's, who was really unlucky to end up on the floor at Fairyhouse the other day. He'd probably have won that day.
He was brought down, wasn't he? It said fell on the result. But.
It was most unusual in that two horses collided with each other and he fell first but is said to have been brought down even though the horse that fell came behind him. So work that one out.
I'm going with the payday, I think.
Yeah, he was knocked down basically. He jumped the fence perfectly fine. I wouldn't worry about his jumping. But I think he'll certainly serve it up to Embassy Gardens.
And then put one for the handicaps this week. Next week even.
Well, one for the handicaps.
Might be this week when people are listening to it. You just
very true. It's timeless, this. It's absolutely timeless.
One for the handicaps. Yeah, I'll tell you what. With Iberico Lord going for the champion hurdle, I thought the Nicky Henderson JP McManus Under Control might be the one in the county. Just with the ground drying throughout the week.
Scoop.
There might be a form boost earlier in the week, might there, with Ashro Diamond in the mares, and I can see her price contracting as the days go on. So we'll go with Under Control in the county.
I think that Kida Bourbon in the Mighty Park will go very short, Billy. He could be the shortest price fav of the week in the handicaps. That's my...
Is that yours, Dave?
No,
Where
it's
got that from?
Just lots of people putting him up on the circuit. I'm led to believe a former champion jockey, or former Cheltenham legendary jockey who rode for William Mullins. I might have ridden for Ponick as well, but I've circled his name as well. A preview night as his better.
Sporting Life sources.
I'm not prepared to know. No, it's not really. It's an ITV source. Really? I've just revealed. It wasn't me. It's not you. It's not Ed Chamberlain.
To be serious, Ron, Billy flagged up this Summer Jest as a potential handicap project for the festival weeks and weeks ago.
Yeah.
I visited his race. Was it Limerick?
Yeah.
He looked like a horse who could be any number above 140, didn't he?
He absolutely did, and the fact that Willie has come out during the week and said he could be a Gold Cup horse. Look, they have form with the likes of this. Stateman got into a county hurdle off about 141. Gallop and Deschamps won a Martin Pipe off 142. So they know exactly the type of horse they need to win a festival handicap like this. He's got 140. Like you said, you could have put any figure on him that day. He could be well ahead of his mark, but look, the price is gone now at this stage. If you haven't backed him by now,
right race, Billy? Have you?
Probably not, because I thought he'd run in the Martin Pipe. It looks like he's going to go for the Coral Cup now.
2027 Gold Cup is going to be Galopin Deschamps, aged 11, Majborough, aged about 7,
Caliph de Burlay,
Sa Majest, and Factor File.
Meeting, whatever it's called, and from the Ultima.
And dig out the caps, the LJP caps, the one that Fran won when he rode his win on that. We're going to end with 2 games because it's quite a tight, punchy podcast.
Can I just say, that Mayor's Novice, make sure, when does the content go on Sporting Life? You need to listen to Fran Berry talk about Jade de Grugy.
Yeah, very interesting.
That'll be on site. No.
Oh, wow.
No.
Physical appearance, I think she's strengthening up to do one for next year. We're going to end with 2 rounds. It's a punchy podcast.
The buzzer?
Not on the buzzer. I'm going to play the fraud squad first. You could all be left red-faced. I naturally am, so I'm not playing this. It's blood pressure. Ed Chamberlain, one big name you think could get beat next week.
I will go El Fabiolo.
David Johnson.
I'll say Dino Blue. She's already been beaten favourite at 2 Cheltenham festivals. She can land the hat-trick.
Oh, Fran Bevy's at the door. This is very dangerous. He hasn't got access. GC.
I'm reluctant here because I don't think there's the right lot of depth, and Ed won't agree. I'm not sure Stay Away Fee quite as good as his market position suggests in the Brown Advisory.
Billy, you're nodding. It's a British horse. You're happy to take him on. But what's the one that you're a big name that you think might get beat?
Oh, it'll have to be Sergino. I'd have to take on Sergino.
Stay Away Fee and Sergino in the space of 20 seconds. This is heartbreak.
All those Irish hot pots you could have gone for. This is a disgrace.
He's a man. He's good. He'll take one on. Go on, Scoop.
Purely out of spite, that. Purely out of spite.
What's your Irish hot pot? You'll take one on, won't you, Scoop?
Back to File.
On what grounds?
I think inexperience might do for him in the Brown Advisory. You know, he's had 3 runs in bumpers, 3 runs over fences in small fields, never gone over the trip, jumps to his right a little bit. Lay at 4 to 6 for me.
Cobden from the front, piling the pressure on Scoop.
Well, we've got
Sam Twiston Davis.
Got the front 2 beat. We can take a more leisurely approach to the final.
What's yours?
What I would think will get beat.
I want you to come down with us straight
Good question. It's a very good question. Tiapu in the stayers. Just be able to spy that one. Because I'm sure it was Billy who napped it before. Let's talk. I want your nap of the week. I'll start with Scoop. Give us your nap of the week. Linfoot fans.
Well, I do think a lot of shorties will go in. And, you know, obviously State Man, El Fabiola, etc. But for a little bit of a better price nap of the week, I'm going to go Stage Star in the Ryanair. I think he'll take all the beating. I think that performance in the Paddy Power Gold Cup when he won off 155 is the standout form in that race. I think he's better on the new course. He obviously won the time form, Novice Handicap Chase and the Turners last year, and I think he'll be on top form in that race from a prominent position. I think it'll be tough to reel in.
Really?
Well, as I put him up months ago, I might as well stay with Sam Majest.
That's a proper roll of the dice. JC.
Well, I don't want to waste a good graphic. So, Dom, esteemed producer, put in the absolute rockets graphic here right now. In the last 2 years, WP Mullins has had 8 Grade 1 runners at 6 to 4 or shorter. 7 have won by open lengths. The other was Galopin, who was about to crush Bob Ollinger. Look out for Dynamite from Mullins. But we started with a reference to reasonably priced Guinness. I'm going to end with a similar reference. Captain Guinness without El Fabiolo to run on strongly into a place or better.
You'll hear that Mullins stat on ITV.
That
was Butch Harmon-esque, you down the barrel of the camera there.
You can have the graphics as well if you want. They are available. The graphics.
As you know, Dave, I do not throw rocket emojis about.
I've known you about 20 years, JC. I think that's the first time I've seen the rocket emoji emerge. DJ, nap of the week.
Yeah, I've made the case for him already. It's Grey Dawning in the Broadway.
But you have to have a few quid on if he jumps to the Turners, won't you? Just in case. That would be.
I'm already on
Money runs in
Ginny's
the Turners.
Destiny for the Turners, so it could be an absolute disaster if he rocks up there and beats him.
We all know how this story ends. David will be back for the Lincoln preview. Ed, nap of the week.
I've got 2 anti-post Shanag Bulk running for me and Corrick Rambler at a huge price in the Gold Cup.
He's not laughed this time. He's done very well.
So Gino is the certainty. But for a bet, the Gopher in the Ultima each way, 4th last year. Won of your charity races in Ireland, which are very different to charity races over here. There's no Dave Ord or David Craig riding. Stable staff rides.
And you can bet on them.
And he hoses up. He's in great form coming back to try and go 3 places better.
David Craig's Shouty Ride remains one of my favourite racing memories. I'll take that to the grave.
What did he tell Fahy afterwards?
Lovely horse hay to the ground.
Beating 76 lengths.
It's pointed the wrong way when they started. It was literally pointed the opposite direction. It was that good handicap with Richards as well, was it? It was like a 10 furlong John Smith Cup horse. GC, final word to you and Ed. What do you think is going to be the story of this Cheltenham Festival?
Affordability checks, i.e. The potential for real trouble and strife from the bookmakers. I've done all the big races like everyone. I can't see many holes in the Rockets. I really can't. And if Sam Jest, No Ordinary Joe, 1 or 2 of those other handicap plots come off, then the bookmakers are in the wires.
Ed, final word to you. 4 days live on ITV, your biggest week of the year. You're driving home Friday night. What's going to be the story? What are you going to be remembering?
I hope the headline will all be about a vintage Gold Cup, with Corrick Rambler winning it for Scotland, famous Grand National Gold Cup double. Gallopin can win by miles. I'd love Hewitt to win it. I hope it's the Gold Cup, Audie. Headline-wise, in the village, I think it'll be Cheltenham and the problems Cheltenham might have moving forward. Hence, I hope the hierarchy. Just listen, and then if changes need to be made, I think the headline will be an Irish rout, I'm afraid. I think it'll be...
What would you take now, Billy,
Irish
in terms
domination.
Of Irish winners? Under or over 20?
28 he'll take.
I'd say I'd go for 20.
And Mullins 100?
Oh, he'll have it by Wednesday, I think.
By Wednesday. And on that bombshell, thanks to Ed, to David, to Graham, to Billy and Ben. Good news, we're back next week for 2 podcasts. On the Monday of Cheltenham, looking ahead to Tuesday, Wednesday. And on the Wednesday, guess what? Looking ahead to Thursday, Friday. And a few reflections as well. So for the first time, we're going to have podcasts during Festival Week, so please tune in for those. But before then, best of luck with your own Cheltenham wages. And look out for plenty more content on YouTube, on the Sporting Life channel. Some great preview footage involving the guys as well.
Visit sportinglife.com for more analysis, tips, opinion and insight.